toy.
We're wanted men. I have spoken.
Hey everybody, welcome to Smuggler podcast. This week we've got David Shawn joining us. We're going to get into talking about 12 backs and do a big old deep dive into it. So David and Jason, how y'all doing this evening?
I'm doing excellent, sir.
Dude, I haven't
Good.
had it. Excellent.
It's fun
week.
to be with you.
Yeah,
Welcome,
welcome
David.
David.
Welcome to the show.
And I was
Yeah,
bummed I didn't get to meet you at the convention, Jason.
Yeah.
I saw Glenn and immediately heard his voice. I think he's even told this story.
Yeah.
It was kind of surreal. I heard the voice and he was standing in front of me, and I think I tapped him on the back as a Glenn, but I immediately recognized him.
His sweet
It was-
voice that just calls. He's like a siren. He just calls from the beach.
That's it. Let's go with
Yeah.
that.
Yes. How's you guys' weeks going?
Good.
David, you pick up anything?
Pickups this week. I actually did get a nice Luke mock.
Nice.
And it was waiting for me when I got home. I'd been out of my house renovating, so I did have a couple of things that were like, delayed shipment. I did get a partially cellophane sealed Han blaster pistol too.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I had a loose one. I did not have one in the box, so that arrived safe and sound. I had a disaster actually. That's probably a sad tale to tell for the podcast.
Oh
But
no! What happened?
No, tell us about it,
had-
because we were talking about it, and what happened with that?
Oh, that's right. We were PMing about it. Yeah, I had my first like real shipping disaster. Something coming to me. I bought like a mint Y-wing, and a Jawa playset with like perfect boxes, which is kind of like a collecting focus for me now. So to find a guy with two things, and I was stoked. And shipping was kind of expensive. They're the big boxes. They were coming all the way from the West Coast, and they arrived, and the box looked crushed, sitting in my entryway to my house. And I was hoping for the best, but I got it open and saw that the landed Jawa playset was pretty badly crushed. And then weirdly enough, away from all the damage, the Y-wing had so much damage that parts punctured through the once almost perfect box.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
So they ended up both kind of being trashed, but super reasonable seller to work with who refunded me. So it was all kind of worked out in the end, but sad to find boxes
Yeah.
that lasted that long so good go bad, but
oh, that's heartbreaking.
it was.
The box,
I never-
the box
I
and your
never-
heart were crushed.
Yes.
Right. I never understand people, if you're shipping a box, double box it. I always tend to box something and then box it again to make sure that, especially higher end items. But
Yeah, it was wrapped pretty well. It wasn't double box, but they were already working on a pretty big box, just given the size of the Y-wing,
Mhm.
to get something around that and then packaging. So it was reasonably well packaged. It was just not meant to be, I guess. So
Right.
That's a bummer still.
yeah,
That's
it
a
was.
bummer.
Yeah.
What you drinking, David?
This is diet ginger ale.
Oh,
Boring. I've been on a tear drinking. I had a big 3-day golf tournament last week
Oh.
that I played with my brother. That's kind of a big booze fest, and the weather's not been so good here, so it's been a little depressing. Maybe drinking more than I should, so dialing it back.
well, with a shipment like that, I'd crack a few beers too.
Yeah,
man.
right.
Yeah, well, right. I probably had a couple over that one. So
Jason, how was your week, man?
It was good. I went to Charlotte for work, and I went to Rebel Base based on your suggestion, which is a nice little shop in the bottom of like a little shopping plaza. Right? You were the one that recommended, right? You're looking at me
That
like
was me. I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't
it
know
looked like
you
you
were
were trying
queuing
to-
me up, but yeah,
Yeah,
that
like-
was the one that I remember. I love Charlotte because it does have a lot of per capita. It's got a lot of shops, but Rebel Base was the one right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
It was good. Lots of comics, lots of vintage and modern stuff. So I didn't pick anything up because it was just my lunch hour, and I, wanted to take my time. I had to run back to the office.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the other thing, I came home and I was expecting some Figure Shield cases. I've mentioned those before from my vintage collection, because I had sent you that vintage collection figure that sold for close to like $1,000, Commander Cody.
Right. Uh-huh.
Which is insane. It's unpunched, and I had a couple unpunched ones, though I don't think they're worth that much. Like the most expensive ones are in the $250, $300 range, and I had a couple of those, and I'm like, I'm just gonna get some cases. So I got that, and that arrived on Friday. But then there was another box with it. I'm like, what is this? And I see it's from my cousin, and I open it up.
Dude, that was. Oh,
Yeah, it was amazing. It was an Empire Strikes Back case, vintage 1982 case with a lot of figures in it, a lot of beater figures that didn't have weapons and stuff like that. But I got a new R5, a 9 a Princess Leia, a Luke X-wing, like all these figures that I didn't have. So now I just got to find I just have to find the weapons to go along with it. But I was ecstatic. I was screaming. The kids came in. They're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I got these figures."
And they don't understand. They're like,
No.
yeah, freaking Star Wars guys.
They don't care. One's on his video games, the other one's doing homework. So they're like, what's going on? But yeah, but I was excited. I was ecstatic. So thank you to my cousin.
Awesome. Did you pick anything up at the swap today?
My Harrison did. He made out like a bandit. And I get it now, because you were talking about at ICCC, you kept shopping the Joe Fest, you kept shopping for your wife. And so here I am with Harrison, and I'm shopping for him. I'm like, hey, do you like that Spider-Man print? It's only $5. I don't care. Sure. Hey, do you like that chopper over there? Though they had a Funko chopper. You want that? Sure. So he made out like a bandit. I didn't get much.
Right.
How about you?
I had an okay week.
Yeah, just okay.
It was just okay.
I think it was the most excellent week ever, dude.
I heard it was a pretty excellent week.
It's the most triumphant week ever.
Yeah.
Party on, Glenn.
Yes. It was a pretty big week. I'll get to that one in a minute, but yeah, man. All right, screw it. I'll talk about it right now. It's too exciting.
Get out of the way.
So like Friday, I don't know. Did I talk about getting the pieces parts last week?
I don't know. Just tell the story.
I don't know. But anyway, I got a couple of hard copy Bill and Ted pieces that a guy had on Deal or No Deal. And in the process of buying them, he showed me he had a full set of hard copies for Bill and Ted. And I was just like, oh, crap. And, he had given me a price, and I was like, dude, I can't afford that. Next thing you know, they're on Deal or No Deal. And I had to beg the wife. And I was like, dude, I called him, and he called me, and we talked, and he sent me more pictures. He's like, here, send all these pictures to your wife, because I know, he told me that people were PMing him off the Deal or No Deal site saying Glenn's the guy that needs to have this set.
Yep.
Just everybody. And then I had people, you PM'd me, and it was just one of those, everybody's PMing me to tell me, or pinging me about this collection.
Yeah, I tagged you in it.
Huh?
I tagged you in it.
Yes, you did. But it was it was Napoleon, it was Bill, Ted, Rufus, Billy the Kid, Genghis Khan, and Abe Lincoln.
So you said Napoleon.
And then I'd already bought the Grim Reaper, but it was only pieces. It wasn't a full Grim Reaper, but it's a full run. And the Napoleon was never produced. So so it was a Napoleon hard copy, and then the other bunch. And yeah, I was able to, thankfully my wife was like, all right, we got room on the credit card and we'll go do it, because that's why I say leave room on the credit cards, because you never know when something like this is going to pop up. And
collecting emergency.
Yeah.
Yes, it was an emergency. So yeah, I was able to pick up a complete Bill and Ted hard copy run, which I can't wait for that to get here, which now I got to rearrange everything and move my stuff around, because I just can't put that on a shelf. I got to make an excellent display for it. And
it was excellent.
And it pairs nicely. Hey, huh?
Most excellent display, dude.
Yes. So, because I've got art, I've got pre-production art from them, and now I've got the hard copies. So my Bill and Ted run's going to be awesome when I get it.
The
It just,
future home of the Bill and Ted Toy Museum.
Yeah.
it's getting that way, man. Because I mean, truthfully, and I told one of the guys I worked with, it's like, I can't afford, you can't even touch what I paid for a full run of hard copies. You can't even touch a Star Wars hard copy, one Star Wars hard copy for. So,
Yeah.
if you can't do a Star Wars, you might, if I can't do Star Wars, I'm going to do another line that I like and corner the market on that. And knock on wood, it's getting that way for me.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was the big one. So now
Yeah.
we are boxing up all our Funkos and trying to sell them. I did keep my Rebels. My wife's like, we don't need the money that bad, so keep the ones you want. So I kept the Rebels run, and freaking Funko released another figure for that. And it's like, dude, y'all had this run complete for 2 or 3 years, and you're going to release an oddball figure and make me go buy another damn Funko Pop to keep this line, the Rebels line, complete. So I had to buy that on Friday. I bought another damn Funko Pop. But it just sucks when you're a completist, and you're like, you got to keep the set together. And that's why I got rid of all my Fets, because they just kept coming out with new ones. And I got tired of it. I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I got that. And then we boxed everything up today to take to the toy show, just in case somebody decided, oh yeah, I want some Funko Pops. So we boxed them all up, throw them in the car. Of course, nobody wanted Funko at this sale, because swap meet, because nobody's looking for Funkos at the meet. And as we're walking in the freaking house, my wife has the crate in her hand and she bumps my Black Series case, and all my Black Series figures fall down.
Are they damaged?
No, they didn't damage
Okay,
them.
they
But
just fell.
they're all fell over.
Yeah.
So now I got to redo my whole Black Series. So that'll be
Okay.
Good time to do some dusting.
exactly. I was so exhausted because we were out in the heat for 3-4 hours today, and I start looking at them and I go, yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna dust them all and redo them. And yeah, that was today. So I'm trying to think what else. Like, all right, so I got that, the Bill and Ted. My wife also picked me up some Thrawn, like a Thrawn art, like watercolor or something somebody did on Macari. Picked that up for me, so that's cool. That's hanging in my Rebels corner. What else did I do? Oh yeah, got a Back to the Future. Our buddy Jordan, that's going to be on next week, messaged me last night. He got a Back to the Future EP or vinyl from the movie soundtrack. So I picked that up, got that all framed up. That was cool. And in the day, my wife's like, I want to go look for shoes. So I'm on a Back to the Future kick, and I look, and there's a pair of white Nikes with the red swoosh on them. That's as close as I'm going to get to Marty McFly shoes. And I put them on, and my wife's like, why do you want white shoes? And I'm like, think about it. She goes, you want to be like my dad? I'm like, really? I was thinking about it. So I had to literally pull up a picture of Marty McFly and show her. And she goes, oh, really? I said, yes. So,
Yep.
yeah. That was my week. Oh, it was a pretty good week. I do want to, the raffle we talked about for the Georgia Alliance raised $1,400 for children's healthcare. So that was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome that we were able to do that. But that was my week. It wasn't that bad.
No. It's pretty memorable. You're gonna remember this week for a long time.
Yes, it'll be a day long remembered.
Yes. Most excellent. Totally not bogus.
Yeah, and then I had a buddy that was, I mean, y'all know Atlanta Comic-Con's in town. So I had some buddies that were there today, and he sent me a picture of a $35,000 AFA FET.
21.
Yeah, I see your.
Yeah.
David, you got to just do more than shake your head.
I don't get FET yet. He's a fine character and figure in the line. I just don't have the fascination that some do, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, Glenn.
Yes. It sucks being a fat guy, man.
Ignore this Boba Fett helmet in the corner.
Right. I see it right there in the corner, man. And I've got my Fett shirt on.
Yep. Yeah, 30. That's overpriced.
Oh, Narayan said he had an extra one too many zeros on there. So
I mean, I would maybe 5,000 might be fair for a 21 back boba,
right,
but not
that was
35.
right.
It was an
That's what I thought.
F85.
Yeah.
It was a straight 85.
Oh,
That's the only reason I could think they were wanting. They were wanting that much plus of where it was at. But truthfully, I thought maybe 5 to 10, but 35.
No.
No way.
I mean, that vinyl Cape Jawa sold at ICCC for 20.
Right.
And that's more rare.
Yeah.
So.
But it was a 20 bag or 12 bag vinyl cape. So, or 20 back or whatever vinyl cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why.
sounds like a lot.
Yeah. It's just a little bit.
Did it sell, or it was just out for that?
I think it was just out there. Just,
Oh,
I think
okay.
the guy just wanted, because he had also said that the guy had an attorney that was a 70, and then he wanted $30,000 for
That's
it.
just insane.
That sounds like a not for sale price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a guy that just was like, I'm going to throw some crazy prices if I sell one.
It sounds like the show's coming in December, and if somebody's dumb enough to pay it now instead of then, right?
Right.
But,
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
yeah.
So they wanted us to go with them, and I'm like, it's going to cost me and my wife were like, it's going to cost us $100 just to get in the door. I'd rather spend my $100 in at Martin's show and Powder Springs show, and
Right.
be a lot happier.
Or pay down your credit card a little bit.
Yeah. Why would I want to do that?
After this week, you're gonna be paying that for the next 6 months at least.
Oh, Jesus. Try like 6 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless I sell all my pops. And then she
You're
saw
not gonna
some
get that much for pops.
Oh, dude, we've got some pops, dude. I have the Marty McFly pop that it's like $500.
Well, that's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah. it'll make a ding. I don't know
It'll
how
make
much.
the minimum payment 1 month.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Or a couple of months. I think my wife, I'm like, what is that going to cost us? Like $50 a month? She's like, try like 150. I was like, shit. But, yeah. Are y'all up on Bad Batch?
No, I'm too behind.
Okay. Dude,
I watched
I
no
will
Bad
say,
Batch.
huh?
I'm still in the Clone Wars. I'm like
Oh,
mid-season 3. I got to that late. I'm getting there. I like
Okay.
it.
yeah, it gets better as it goes too.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And then once you're done with Clone Wars, you need to watch Rebels. And
I'm gonna do
everything
Rebels.
will- yeah.
It'll all
everything
click
will
together.
mesh.
And then you two can call each other and cry at the same time.
Yes.
I was
I
the
do
only
have
guy
to-
in the world who was watching The Mandalorian and had no idea who Ahsoka was when she showed up.
Oh, really? How was
Yeah.
that? What was that like?
I mean, I just assumed it was some character in the lore that I was not aware of,
Okay,
and took it as that, I guess. So,
that's interesting.
yeah, I knew I didn't know who it was, obviously, but they gave you enough kind of context clues to say this is somebody important. You just, haven't read the right comic or watched the Clone War, so.
Yeah.
And then you were like, Grand Admiral who?
Well, actually, I read book 1 of the Thrawn trilogy some time ago, and I probably a month ago finished book 3. I reread book 1 and just ripped through 1, 2, 3 kind of through the early part of the summer and loved it. So I'm actually
Right.
now getting more into reading some of the novels. I had bought a collection of stuff that had a bunch of the old paperbacks. So I've kind of pieced out, based on talking to people, like, what the better from the junkier
Mm-hmm.
ones
Right.
were, so I can at least prioritize and
Yep.
start chipping my way through. So
Well, if you've gone through the Thrawn trilogy, I think it's all downhill from there. Unfortunately, that's the best of the best, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Then there's the Han Solo trilogy is good. The
Yeah.
Courtship of Princess Leia is pretty decent, but it's been forever since I read.
I heard the Tales from books are
Those-
good, like Tales from Jabba's
Yeah.
Palace. There's a
Yeah.
few of those kind of series that are short story, I'm assuming. But
Yeah, they're like novella length. The
Mm-hmm.
Tales of the Bounty Hunter is fun. The IG-88 one in particular is like, what were you smoking, dude? As he wrote this, you remember that one, Glenn?
No, I haven't read those tales yet. I need to dig them out.
That one is pretty interesting. The IG-88 one.
I do have them. I did the same thing David's doing, where you just buy lots, and people are selling books at 50 a time, and you just buy the lots. And,
Yeah.
Hope for the best.
Not Star Wars related, but I picked up on Deal or No Deal a while back a full run of Choose Your Own Adventures.
Oh.
And I love those as a kid, and I've been reading them with my son, and they're a little difficult for him, but it's pushing him. And I was like, oh yeah, I love these because they were awesome. They were great. I like the Time Machine ones better. Those were kind of like a little more sophisticated. Choose Your Own Adventure, but
right. And how old's your son?
He's 8 now.
Okay. Is he cool with dad collecting Star Wars, or
he loves it? And I love it too. It's it helped accelerate my interest in collecting, actually, because we would, come down and like play with toys now all of a sudden on a Friday night for 2 hours and stuff like that. So he thought it was cool, and it got him more into Star Wars. So he wanted to go rewatch the movies. And so, kind of like me getting into that fed him getting into it, which, circled back on collecting more. And then we started to watch He-Man, and that's maybe next on the collecting list. I never really had a lot of He-Man as a kid, but we watched a few episodes and it's awesome. So he's like, Dad, does He-Man have toys? I'm like, yeah. I mean, one thing at a time.
Why do you think he has a cartoon?
So like, can we watch the cartoon first? But so it's a cool way to like reconnect with, another generation, because it's so true that like the timelessness of Star Wars and how easy it is to, share, and people of every generation just recognize it as good. And the toys, and that's the cool part, like seeing him interact with the toys through a little kid's eyes and remembering how I had the same experience is like such a cool parent moment, because the toys are so awesome, their eyes light up and they appreciate them because they're just cool toys, and you're like, wow, this is why they have longevity. Like, you can take this thing apart, clean it, put it back together, and it's like, it's awesome.
So does he play with the vintage stuff, or do you have like more modern stuff for him to play with?
I have no, he plays with vintage. I have he has his own. I finished figure runs for my kids, so they can put them in like the baseball bat displays in their room. So he's got that like on the shelf that don't come out, but he's got a bunch of beaters that he plays with, and now a collection of old ships and stuff like that. So he's got ones that he will play with, and then he's great about not touching the museum quality or caliber stuff. He just leaves it alone, and it all works. So
very cool. And does he like the movies? He watches them with you?
He does, we've been watching Clone Wars together, so he likes that. I figured cartoon would be perfect. He loves the originals. My girls do too. I have not they haven't watched much of the new stuff, either the prequel trilogy or the new trilogy. Like, I want him to be older so he can intellectually process the nonsense that he's seeing better. So
pretty cool.
It's fun. It's a great way to hang out and spend time together.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it, because that's what my grandson's 5, and ever since he could walk, he's like, Star Wars. So I had dinner with him tonight, and I'm like, guess what happens when you turn 8? He goes, we get to go to Disney World. I'm like, what's at Disney World? Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. So, have you guys been to Galaxy's Edge?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have, right?
A couple times.
Yep. Yeah, I thought the show. Yep, I remember the show on it now. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done a few of them.
Yes, and we're about to get some news. I have news about Galaxy's Edge.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Can we talk about it, Glenn?
Do you want it? The Star Cruiser or the
Star Cruiser? Yeah, the pricing.
Yeah,
I saw it.
It's insane.
Jeez.
And that's the low end.
Right.
That's out of season, not in season.
Oh my God! Really? That's out of season pricing.
Yes.
So the 6K or whatever it is out of season pricing?
That's out of season price for 4 guests, 3 adults, 1 child, $6,000 for 2 nights.
Wow.
2 nights.
And I'm not even sure that includes everything, because I don't.
That
the way that they. Does it include everything on the ship, or like if you want to build when they say inclusive, there may
No.
be upgrades. Is it like savvies? Are they considering savvies an upgrade, or is there more
No,
stuff
it's
happening
not.
on the
It
ship?
it includes admission to Galaxy's Edge to Hollywood Studios, guaranteed Rise of Resistance entry, 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners per guest, 1 quick service. Children are ages 3 through 9. So if you're older than 10, you're an adult. So it's basically a 2-night experience. And you can drive the ship. You can learn how to use lightsabers, check out the engine room. There's a captain's lounge with some funky food that they can offer, but that's extra. So, yeah, it's insane. That's insane pricing.
Right. For $6,000, I better walk on there and not pay for crap until I leave.
Yes. Yeah.
And you better have uniforms for me, because originally they said they were going to give you uniforms, and now you got to bring your own. So if you want to dress the part, that's another fee. Which,
Yeah, it's just so exclusive. It's just ridiculous. It's not for every Star Wars fan. It's only for those that are rich.
or those that want to save up for 3 years to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think $6,000 is the average price people spend on vacations a year.
Right.
I think it's closer to like the $3,000 to $4,000.
I have 3 kids, and when we've been to Disney, which I consider pretty expensive to go to, it usually adds up to like $1,000 a day if you factor in your hotel, your airfare, your food, all the stuff that you buy. So if Galaxy's Edge is $3,000 a day for less people, that seems very expensive.
Yeah. Well, it's the Star Cruiser. It's not even Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
So you get to go to Galaxy's Edge, but
I'm sure it'll be
The only thing-
awesome, but like, will it be $3,000 a night awesome?
right. And I think that's our complaint about Galaxy's Edge, is if you're going to charge $3,000 a night, it better be immersive. I
Amazing.
better think I'm in space when I'm
Yeah.
on that starship.
Yeah.
It's just too much. Also,
Yeah.
as a
But is
communication,
it already sold out?
no, they haven't started
Probably.
selling it yet.
Oh, they haven't. Okay.
No, they were just telling us the price so we can get that out of the way. But it is launching in 2022.
Right.
But the website said like 4 guests. Like there's no plural at the end.
Mhm.
So as they were labeling it, it was like 2 guests. What was it? $4,800. 3 guests. And I was just like,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be guests. It's plural. Disney, get it right. Just my little thing.
Yeah.
I got that out of my system, so I feel better. Thank you.
You want to complain about Hasbro, or you don't want to?
No.
There was nothing-
Next week. They also
I'm not
released
saying
like
I skip a part of your show, but I try to blow through the Hasbro.
yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I don't collect any of it, so I don't.
I'm getting tired of it. I wish I could skip every 30 seconds of complaining about Hasbro. Just got to get through it. And what, day one, you check in, you launch into the Star Cruiser. So there's some sort of portal that takes you from the front desk up to the ship itself. And Disney did have to mark on their page, you don't actually go to space. Legal got involved, I'm sure, and said, you got to mark that so people understand that they're not actually in space. There's some sort of orientation, light refreshments. You can learn sabacc, lightsaber lessons. Day 2, you go to Galaxy's Edge. You ride Rise of Resistance. There's a story moment where you can either broker a deal, or maybe you steal a ship from the First Order. So I wonder what that's about. And then you're out by day 3 at 10 a.m.
Right. You start day 1 at 1, and you're gone by 8:30 on day 3. So you don't
Yeah.
even get 48 hours in there.
Yeah.
For $6,000.
Yes. But
It is what
they'll
it
be
is.
sold out for years.
Yeah. Then there's some new Lego show coming out October 1st. Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales. I don't know if you're into the Lego shows, but you might watch it with your grandson.
Right.
And
The
Bad
Lego
Batch season.
stuff's good. Huh?
Yeah, no. There was a moment of silence, so I was just going to jump to the next topic.
Go.
Bad Batch season 2 is a go.
Yes.
That's
Dude,
all I got.
and I
dude.
wanted, huh?
That's all I got. You got
Okay.
anything?
But I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about Bad Batch a second ago. It's got to tell you that it's not capturing people because you have it. Jason, you're 2 or 3 episodes behind or an episode behind. I'm watching it Friday whenever, and it's just not capturing me. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but Mandalorian and Clone Wars and everything. Mandalorian, there were spoilers at 3:30 in the morning. There's spoilers on Facebook. You don't see any spoilers with Bad Batch. You don't see people talking about it. I mean, you see people talking about it, but it's nowhere near what Mandalorian was. So I don't know if Disney's they just missed the mark with Bad Batch, or they just, trying to bridge a gap and introduce new figures this season, and maybe it'll catch up next season. But it just seems like in my eyes, they missed the mark with Bad Batch.
I agree. It doesn't seem to be trending in our group like normal, like the Mandalorian would be. But also, I was busy last weekend, so that's why.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to watch it.
You're busy singing karaoke.
Jump around.
But dude, you were, even before last weekend, you were, you didn't watch it for a few days.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a priority. Like, I don't feel like you need to sit and watch it. Like, if I watch it on Saturday or Sunday, fine. If I have to wait a couple extra days, all right, whatever.
Right. It's not like Mandalorian. You wake up. Mandalorian, I was waking up, getting my coffee, and watching it on Fridays. Now, Bad Batch is, I'll get to it when I get home.
Right.
So yeah, it's weird. And David has nothing to say because he's not even
Just watch it. Yeah.
Mando was must see TV for me. That's one I wouldn't let slide either. We were all pretty glued to that.
Right.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back to talk about some early birds. All right, so we're back. David's been bugging me for ever since he started listening to podcasts. He goes, "You guys need to do vintage crap. Tired of listening to modern. I'm not a modern collector. I want vintage. So he stepped up to the plate a couple of weeks ago and messaged me and goes, "All right, we're going to do an early bird. Let's talk early bird. Bring me on." So David, welcome to the show. Let's talk some early bird, man. How did you get started? Who are you? How, yeah. Talk to us.
Who the hell are you?
I'll try to explain myself. I got into collecting only recently. It was last year during the pandemic. But I'm 44. I was born in 77. So I grew up with Star Wars. Like, whatever toys I had as a kid were Star Wars. That was like the only real line of anything that I had. Loved my Star Wars stuff. None of it survived from childhood, and just kind of moved into adulthood, and still love the movies and stayed up on it, but never recollected. And then a friend of mine who's in the groups came up for a visit, and we got together, and he had kept his collection and built on it for many years. And we went to high school together, so he's my age, so he's amassed quite a nice collection over decades. And I went to go meet him where he stored it, and he's taking tubs and tubs of box ships and play sets and figures and the Falcon, and that was all I needed to get kind of the collecting juices flowing. So I got into the IC, some other groups, different people helping me along, and just kind of stumbled into the early bird rabbit hole. I think they kind of tickle two curiosities. One is just the Star Wars curiosity, and it's got kind of the OG cred of being the first real Star Wars toy of import that came out. But I like history too. I'm kind of a history nerd, and to me that's kind of like the story behind it, which we can talk about, and just the existence of where it is, and like toy lore and Americana is, I think, really kind of a significant piece of history. So just to be able to have them is so amazing. And going down that for a rabbit hole is sent me on some expensive adventures to find parts and pieces. But it's just kind of a cool area that caught my interest, I guess. So
awesome. How many do you have? Because I know you were showing us before we started recording. You had a few of them out in display.
Several. I own several. So I got part of the rabbit hole I went in is that it's very, people grade early birds like anything, and there are very few 85 grades. that exist out there. And when you can find them, they're hugely expensive because, you're talking about the oldest of the old Star Wars parts. And an oddity about trying to collect it is like the nature of finding them in good condition because of how it came out. Kids were dying to get their hands on this thing and rip it open and, play with these. So like, to me, it's amazing that any mocks remain unopened because I certainly didn't leave them unopened as a kid, but like, I couldn't imagine a kid waiting months to get, these figures, and they finally arrive, and like, they would carefully open the box and leave the figures neatly in the baggie and not rip the paperwork. Like, I can't, it's just hard to believe any of it, is around. So the scarcity is another factor that from a collecting standpoint also makes it a little bit of a challenge to kind of find these things.
So if anyone is under a Star Wars rock, what is an early bird set?
Good question.
I know what one is, but just for the
record. There's really, people commonly refer to it as one thing. It's really kind of two distinct things. Anybody who's watched like Plastic Galaxy or Toys That Made Us have probably heard the story. To give the Cliff Note version in case somebody is under a rock. Like, Kenner did not have toys ready for Christmas when the movie came out, and to everybody's surprise, it was hugely successful. So the story goes that he came up with this idea of selling figures before they were available to kids. And Christmas morning, kids woke up to the early bird mailer certificate, which was this big, weird looking envelope with some kind of rough graphic picture and artwork on the front. And kids would open this thing up with a card that you fill out and a figure stand and the promise of some months from now, in the mail, you'll get the first Star Wars figures before anybody else. So that was kind of one distinct piece. You've got like that in its own package, and people kind of collect that as its own separate thing.
And when you say he, you mean Bernie Loomis?
Bernie Loomis, who was CEO of Kenner at the time when they got the Star Wars license. So that's kind of the story that I've heard from other people. Too, like at the convention, a couple of the Kenner guys kind of said that, that's the way it, that's kind of the gamble and the way it went down. Mm-hmm. So that's the mailer certificate. And then the actual early bird set is a plastic tray that had the figures and the little baggie for the pegs that would go in the figure stand that were in the other part that the kid actually got, Christmas morning. It was just a cheap kind of cardboard fold up. Then it came with a Luke, an R2, a Leia, and a Chewbacca in the tray. It's in a white box. And then there's usually two pieces of literature. There's a catalog and a little certificate mailer that comes with it. So in the display for like a graded kit, you'll see all kind of four distinct pieces with a tray and the box and then the paperwork on the side.
Yeah, it's a weird gamble for a toy company to be like, here's your cardboard box. Let's hope that the kids are happy with this. And turns out that, they were ecstatic. They're just something to look forward to and wait for.
Yeah, and they came out a little, I think, ahead of schedule. I think some kids were receiving them, or most kids were receiving them by February, which is kind of on the early end of what they predicted, or March or April. I can't remember exactly. But I wondered as a kid, like, I can't imagine loving Star Wars and opening up to like a piece of cardboard, like be like getting a birthday card as a kid with no money, and it's like, what good is that to you? Like, you don't care.
I mean, the only thing I have to compare it to is when Hasbro redid it, and I just remember bins of that in the middle of the aisle. They just had bins of these.
Really?
So but that's nothing like this, obviously. But
it sold, I guess from what I've heard, it sold very well. It was priced between like $7 and $10 at the time in Christmas 1977, and good and like an unopened one is thousands and thousands of dollars now. An open one with all the pieces, you're still talking $2,000-3,000 for a good one.
You're talking about the figures, not the stand, or
sorry, that just the mailer certificate. So the big envelope that the kid would get Christmas morning to fill out the card and then get the actual figures later.
Yeah, it's weird how you do have both distinct. You've got, like you said, the certificate, and then you've got all the figure pieces. I got lucky with mine. I had no clue what it was, and my wife found all she saw was the cardboard stand with the figures, was at an estate auction down the street from us, and she's like, "Go look at it and go buy it, and you have
Awesome.
$200. Go get it." So, and I was like, "It's got $200 worth of figures on it. I don't care." You know, I didn't knew nothing about the cardboard, and then once I got it and did research on it, I realized what it was, and it was just like, oh crap, you know. To me, the cardboard was worth $200. So I got real lucky with my figure stand, at least.
Yeah, it's hard to find the parts. It's weird. Like if you follow Deal or No Deal, you know, if you're in the forums, like they don't come up very often, and really good parts don't come up very often at all. And then the variations of it, you know, there's not a lot. I mean, there's different variations of the bags. There's definitely guys who know way more about the bags than I do. There's a set number of variants that came in the kit, and the big kind of, you know, the big thing that differentiates one set from another is really what loop bag you have. Do you have the DT bag or do you have the non-DT bag, and which, you know, variant of that bag can matter, you know, in the kit as well. Like the big determinant that will send the price up on the DT kits is the transition bag, which is like the SWC and forward. So this is when they started to move away from the DT and move to the non-DT loop bag. So those are particularly hard to find. I would assume it's a production number thing. I've tried to research that, and I'm not sure what makes them especially rare, other than they just happen to be when they were moving over to produce non-double telescope lightsabers. So,
and I don't know if I've ever asked this question to anyone before. So Glenn, maybe you know, why did they get away from the double telescoping lightsabers? Is it because it was just too small and it broke easily? More expensive? Does anyone know?
I would speculate it was probably cheaper to just have a single telescoping rather than the borrowed out part for a filament.
Right. That's probably what it was.
I would assume. I mean, I think it sounds like they cut corners. Like, I mean, even in the bubbles, like if you collect mocks, like the quality of the bubbles went down precipitously.
Yeah.
You get into Return of the Jedi, like it's almost impossible to find a clear Return of the Jedi bubble, and good luck finding a Power of the Force one.
Right.
So,
right. Well, that was the horror thing that I saw today when I was looking at all the stuff at the toy show. It's open air, it's outdoors, so all the sun was just hitting all the plastic,
hitting everything.
and I'm just like,
oh my god,
oh, UV, get this away. Anyways, that's off point.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous. But yeah, those are the two kind of separate categories of them. So, you know, people will kind of lump them in together. I do have graded sets. I'm not a big graded collector. But to me, these are, you know, so rare and, you know, kind of special a piece that the grading and kind of preservation capability, you know, having it all sealed up in acrylic makes sense on these to me. So, but as I started getting into collecting them, the big rabbit hole was chasing the elusive 85 attempt. So I did do 2 submissions. I pieced together the best possible bags and parts and trays that I could find, and I have 2 possible shots. So I sent both off for grading to see what happens. So
very cool.
This is going to be the end. I'm getting out of the early bird business. I have kind of a couple kits in mind that I want to, you know, keep in my collection, and that'll be the end of this rabbit hole, I think, for me. But
so what exactly is in the kit that you sent down for grading? It's probably the tray with the figures and the baggies.
Yeah, so I have a mailer that's out at CAS right now, which was a convention pickup, and I had it signed. So there was like an autograph authentication, you know, service for that one. What I have out at AFA right now are 2 separate kits that are both DTs. One is a transition bag loop that I'm hoping to get an 85 on. So there's very little like information to get on pricing and things like that, you know, to figure out a value. But if I can piece that together, that would be a pretty rare, you know, almost impossible to, you know, do again kind of thing, I would think, unless somebody opened up, you know, a case and like, you know, took pieces out. But I've hunted pretty hard for these things for a while, and like like anything, it's just tough to get them in good shape. It's the oldest of the old in Star Wars, so the amount of them that exist in, really kind of premium 85 grade condition is just, it's tough.
Yeah, we were just looking at Second Chance had those open figures for 1,500. So what is the cost of getting just the set without being graded at this point?
Yeah, it's not inexpensive for sure. If you got a kind of run of the mill average non DT kit, you could probably piece together something around the low threes to probably low fours. If you start to get into, DT, Lukes, the price goes up really, really quickly. Like, I think like a non-DT Luke bag will go for, probably 700 to 1,000 just for the one Luke. And then the R2 and the Leia and the Chewie, those can be like 3 to 600. The R2 seems to be going up quite a bit lately.
Yeah.
DT kit, 5 to 10 plus. I've heard that, some of the really high grade ones, if you get a graded DT in a rare bag, could be 25, 30 grand. So it's not an inexpensive area of the hobby for sure. But yeah, they're definitely, pieces that came up, I think recently, just it might've been today, or the set that came up in pretty good condition, but it had some like bag slits and things like that. So there's, ways for, somebody who has, the money to get like the value, version of it, to kind of get in and then, piece together things as it comes along. So
Yeah.
It's tough though. You do have to be willing to pull the trigger on some, on some purchases now and again. You're like, oh, do I do this? Oh.
Deep breath. Let's go. Okay, go.
Deep breath. Yep. Suck it in.
Are there fakes out there? Like, you're spending that much money, I'd be afraid that I'm buying something that's a forgery.
Yeah, there are. Luckily, I have not encountered, much stuff. The biggest forgery that I've seen or heard of is on the literature, like the catalog and the certificate. Dennis Hall, who runs Deal or No Deal, who's also a big early bird guy, has come across some information on forgeries around some of those. I haven't heard of anything about the box being duplicated. I don't know if that would be hard to do because it's, such old, crappy grade cardboard that, it would something that'd probably be really easy or really hard. I'm not sure which, but I've never seen or encountered one that looked fake or that I had heard was known to be fake. And then I don't know baggies well enough personally to, know how many of those are reseals or non-reseals, but you do have to be careful if you're buying any early bird sets because there's definitely a lot of baggy shenanigans where people, heat reseal or fake tape and that kind of stuff. So knowing like what early variants had what type of seal and, what it's supposed to look like, you definitely have to kind of, educate yourself on that. And that was actually a good part of getting into them too. You had to learn about really kind of arcane areas of, because like there's no other boxes, I guess, or, there's some mailer boxes, but there's one early bird size one. So you kind of have to, learn about some really weird and esoteric areas of the hobby. So.
Yeah, and you're new to collecting. So how did you learn all this stuff so quickly? Like, where did you go?
Guys like you, really. Dennis Hall was a huge.
I can't tell you about that.
Dennis was a huge help for me. Like he's considered to be a real early bird fanatic and multi-set owner. I bought pieces from him. I mean, if I don't want everybody knocking on his door based on my endorsement, but he was so helpful to me with information and resources on where to look for stuff and who to talk to and just in the community like who to lean on. It seems to be a small niche group of guys and girls who collect this kind of stuff too in the early run. And then bumping into people like that they're really the most knowledgeable. I mean, there's a handful of guys out there on the forum that, trade kind of like the high-end Luke DT stuff. And every now and again you'll see early bird pieces and parts from overseas or some guys here in the US. And I've just kind of casually reached out and told them, hey, I'm into this stuff too, and swap notes. And we actually are looking at trying to start like a specialty collector site for guys who have these in their collection and want to share information, just kind of privately, to do what you were talking about, protect against repro stuff and be out on the lookout for any, anybody dealing shady parts or, eBay shenanigans, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I would kind of go back to the community. Like, people are so willing and able to help and give you information and point you in the right direction or just answer questions. So that's probably been the single biggest, thing I've leaned on, other than, just doing your homework on like the forums and the gunneries. But early birds are tough. There's not a lot of information, believe it or not, on the internet available. You kind of have to go to people who have them, and a lot of those guys have had them for a long time, so they know lots about them. So.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I love about the community, man. Everybody's willing to help, and you find
always
the right guy, and they're like, more the merrier. Come on.
Yeah.
Cool. So
mostly very welcoming.
Yes. I want to think we're very welcoming. So, I mean, that's what we strive for here. So, and that's what I've always strived for, as long as, my number one rule, don't be an asshole. And come on. As long as you're not.
Why am I here? Why am I here?
So don't arrest me for like being a bad parent or child abuse, but I tell my kids that same thing. What's the number one rule in that? Don't be a dick.
Right. It's the truth. I mean, I think it's number one rule in life, man. Just don't do it.
Good words to live by.
Right.
I mean, what? I mean, we may have covered it, but what got you into? Why do you collect it? I mean,
yeah. I mean, just it's a combination of a fascination with history and the real kind of early roots of Star Wars. Like, I was born in '77, so I can't say that I remember its debut, but growing up with Star Wars as a kid and being able to have like the actual first thing, and to me this overlaps with, I just think this is, even if Star Wars collecting kind of went away, there'd be people who want the early bird set just because of the legend and the lore behind its creation and its significance to just toys. Like, it launched 1,000 ships, literally. Like, that's got the toy line going that we're all sitting here talking about. So its significance, I think, to the to the hobby is just so important to me.
Awesome.
Now, I know there's a triple telescoping with Vader. Is there any Lukes out there, or is that
like mushroom tips and weird?
Yeah, there's weird stuff, but I thought there was one that came out like 3 times.
I'm not aware of a triple telescoping Luke.
Okay,
the major Luke variation just tends to be whether or not it's like a circle saber, a lettered saber. I believe all of the different variations, whether it's lettered, non-lettered, circle, are all the same length. So like the filament will be the same length, and all of the for all of the outers, they'll all match up the same way.
And what's that length of the inner filament?
Can I say it on a podcast, or are these closely guarded Star Wars secrets?
I don't think it is. Not that I'm aware of. It's not that guarded.
Why would it be secret?
Right.
Oh, I don't think
thing?
they put them in the gunnery for some reason. Like, if you go on the ID guide,
Yeah.
they won't give you the link for some reason.
Well, then don't share
It's
it.
40 millimeters. So,
well, you said it.
yeah. So I don't know.
Well, we can bleep it out. We'll put one of those R2 wows on it. Just to be careful.
I don't think the people that listen to this podcast, I don't think will get reported.
Yeah,
if we do, somebody will leave a nasty review or something.
Well, we don't need another 2-star review. We've got enough of those.
I was gonna say, I heard you guys got who gave you a 2-star review?
I like to think it's an opposing Star Wars podcast. Yeah, they're just like, oh, they're getting up in the ranks. We need to put them in their place.
Knock you down a peg or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really affected us. We can't sleep at night anymore. It's too much.
Yeah, I cry myself to sleep every night.
I bet.
Yeah.
So Glenn, you never bought the early bird pieces you were talking about.
No, I haven't had the chance to, because I'm spending my money on Bill and Ted hard copies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought somebody else scooped them on you.
Well, they did too, because I literally walked in the store and somebody was buying them as I walked in.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I knew there was a story.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I was hoping to buy them, sell some more pops, but I didn't buy them. But I didn't move fast enough.
My
It was
regret
cool
on my
seeing it.
grading effort was not paying for Express, because now I feel like everybody's waiting quite a long time,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I don't know if I have the patience. I have.
It's like a 6-month wait at times.
I have some stuff out. I won't say the company, but it's been an inordinate amount of time.
Some companies are moving facilities, which is slowing them down. I don't know. You don't have to connect dots there. I'm just saying.
I
there's
won't.
Well, then I won't
I won't-
ask who you prefer better. So we'll
Yeah,
leave
we
that.
won't ask any of that kind of stuff. But if you ever go to AFA, hand deliver something, let us know.
Hand
down in
deliver
our backyard. Yeah, you can make appointments and go hand deliver something to AFA.
Yeah, I thought about that because I sent 2 of these kits actually, because to fly down versus the amount it costs to ship them
Yeah.
overnight, express, and insured for a gazillion dollars is like,
Right.
it'd probably be cheaper to just jump on a plane and fly them down,
Right.
and safer.
Yeah.
Right.
And people
Yeah,
down here that you can hang out with.
Dude,
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys live so close. Where are they
Right.
exactly?
They're on the other
They're
side.
local.
They're on the west side. We're kind of on the east side of Atlanta, northeast, and they're on the northwest.
Oh, they're right in Atlanta. Okay. And CAS is in Florida, right?
West Palm.
Right.
West Palm.
But you'd be surprised the amount of people that do that. They'll fly in, spend a couple of days,
Yeah.
pay the express, and then pick their item up and leave. It's just not.
Oh,
that
really?
rare.
Next day you can do it that fast.
Yeah, they pay.
I
to
should have
get
done
the-
that. I'm kicking myself now. That would have been the thing to do with these. It's not like sending in a Greedo.
No.
Right. It's still
I can wait
sucks
for
when
it.
you
I
send
could
it
wait for a Greedo to come back. But
Yeah, not this.
Right.
No.
So what is your earliest Star Wars memory? I mean, you were born in 77, so
My earliest Star Wars memory. Ooh.
yeah.
So I can't really claim to remember this, but I went to Empire Strikes Back as my first movie. I have a much older brother
Yeah.
who took me when I was like 3 or 4 to see it in the theater. And I think I do have a memory of being in the lobby and seeing like Star Wars. I have a vague memory of like Star Wars art that I was seeing while trying to get some kind of candy, and don't really remember any of the movie, unfortunately, but
Still awesome.
it's great. I got, my
Yeah,
first
you got to
movie
see
was the
Empire
greatest
Strikes
movie
Back.
ever made.
Exactly.
Like, you
Right.
can't beat that.
Exactly. That's
What
pretty
luck.
awesome. So what are your thoughts on the modern line now? I mean, you're a vintage collector, so you have the perspective of not having the heart and
Yeah.
attachment to it like I do. So what are your thoughts on the modern stuff?
I like the look of a lot of the modern stuff. And I got to see a lot of it from like the prequel trilogy when I went to go check out my buddy's collection, which is what got me started. He had tubs and tubs of it. And I was impressed. Like the ships are gorgeous in a lot of those. And I'm not as familiar with like the new Disney trilogy stuff. I mean, I've only bought a little bit of modern. I have the sail barge. I did buy the Razor Crest. I bought a lot of the Razor Crest actually, because I actually bought a bunch of them with the same guy, with the intention to open one each, keep one each, and we were going to put one on eBay or something and see what happens to it. So
There's a lot of people kicking themselves right now because they didn't buy one. So I'm sure
Yeah.
there's an audience.
yeah, I'm kind of interested. Spoiler alert! That now that it's blown up, like I don't know if that's going to help or not the collectability of it, but I mean, they blew the sail barge up in Return of the Jedi, and that's a pretty collectible HasLab. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that would necessarily affect it or not, but they got to give him another ship anyway in season 3 if Mando's in it, right? So might as well be another Razor Crest.
Well, I hope Mando's in it.
Yeah, right. Maybe Luke. Who knows? Who knows who the hell's in that?
Right.
Other rumors? I'm not up on the rumors. You guys would know better than I.
I haven't heard
On-
any rumors other than that poster that they officially released where Luke is holding Grogu and he's making that yellow lightsaber. I mean, that's the only official thing we know so far.
I just assumed when they left that they were parting to go do their own thing, and now we would go back to some new Mando storyline. So
Yeah, that's what I assumed too. So I was
that
surprised.
poster threw me too.
Yeah, same.
As long as we don't get another Bad Batch with Mandalorian season 3, I'll be happy. It's carrying the storyline on. Don't jump from planet to planet helping people out. You know, don't
Maybe
go
they'll
Incredible
do
Hulk.
that Walking Dead thing where they spend like a whole entire season just with Grogu and Luke, and then they'll go back to Mando and just kind of jump around storylines, different characters on different branches of the.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing, 2 or 3 episodes, in the middle where you have Luke and Grogu in there, doing their thing.
Yeah.
Or heck, have a thing where you do have the storylines intertwining and you don't know what the hell's going on because there's too much stuff going, happening at the same time.
Well,
that'd be
the
cool
new
too.
the Boba Fett show is going to obviously be in the timeline of Mando.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity for crossover there. So I don't know. There's a lot going on.
There's rumors that Mando and Cobb Vanth are in Book of Boba. So
Nice.
Really?
I'm sure we'll see him this Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, I'm if Cobb Vanth isn't in Book of Boba, they missed a opportunity there. I'd be surprised to see Mandalorian in it, but Cobb Vanth is a
Well, he's
dead
on the
giveaway.
Tatooine hanging out, right? So he's easy to work in. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping we see the Sarlacc pit, him come out of the pit, and then, you got to figure out how Cobb Vanth got his armor, and see, what he's been doing the past 2 years.
Is there a book or a book that covers how Boba got out?
Not officially, not yet.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Is it in the EU?
I think it's in the EU. Yeah, there's comic books at least,
Oh, the comic book. Okay,
but that nothing with the new Disney stuff.
got it.
Yeah, which they're probably going to do on the Mandalorian, and then we'll get books and comics and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that and then the Ahsoka show. I'm looking forward to that one. Which
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
affectionately-
that one too.
Yeah, I'm affectionately calling Ahsoka Rebels season 5.
How around the corner is the first one? Is it the Boba Fett show? At Christmas?
Christmas, December
I think
2020.
Christmas.
Okay.
When was it?
2021? Yeah, it's this Christmas.
I know they released the Mandalorian release date. I thought I saw January.
No,
22.
they're either filming it or they're just finished filming it. But no, I don't think that's coming out in January.
What about the Obi-Wan show? Because I live in Massachusetts, and I know that had started pre-production or filming or test filming in Boston like some months ago.
Yeah, I heard those rumors. They're definitely filming that in Los Angeles. So Cassian is the one next. After Book of Boba, it would be Cassian, because that one's actually filmed or finished. Obi-Wan's being filmed.
Do we need that show? Do we need a Cassian Andor show?
I think we kind of yes and no.
I liked Rogue One is one of my favorite Disney era films. So if you want to give me more of that, I say bring it on.
Yes.
What are we gonna have him doing though?
It's a prequel, so he's doing a lot of spy stuff, and I don't know. I'll give anything a shot. I don't want to like just toss it aside because he dies, and it's like, what's the point? Because that's what I feel with the Bad Batch right now. It's just like, what's the point? Where are we going with this? What's the purpose? Like, who are these clones? Why are they not in Rebels? Do they die? Who's Omega? Like, I don't know. There's no attachment. So I do have some attachment to Cassian, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I would agree it was one of the better Disney Star Wars products.
That's an interesting way to say it, products, because a lot of what they
It
do,
is a
it does
product.
feel,
That
it does
movie is
feel like product.
absolutely a product.
Yeah, it does feel
But
like
that was a
product.
competent movie that told a competent story. I can't say that for all of the Disney products.
Tell us how you really feel, David. I know how
Right.
you really feel.
Man.
What do you think of the prequels? Those were George led.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking better now, right?
Oh well.
Like the thing that amazes me, like this is no revelation, obviously, but that it's so obvious that they went into that with no coherent plan or strategy is like got to be the biggest entertainment production blunder of all time, right? Like, how could you buy the most valuable IP in history and plan to make movies that cost billions of dollars with no thought or structure to it? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, the more I think about it, Kathleen Kennedy's a producer, so she puts talent first. I mean, that's just what she did. She would always do whatever Steven Spielberg wanted because for the longest time she was Steven's producer, so she's just giving him what he wants. And I think she came to that role.
If you give Steven Spielberg, who's Steven Spielberg, what he wants, like it'll be good.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Ryan Johnson is not Steven Spielberg. Like, whoa.
So I think, yeah, that's just how she approached the role.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a reasonable explanation.
So.
Well, and didn't JJ say we had no plan? We just went into it and did what we felt.
They don't have to tell us; it's evident. Are we surprised by this?
No.
Yeah, I mean, they brought the Emperor. They had to bring the Emperor back to life. Yeah. Glenn, like there clearly was not a plan to do this 5-6 years ago, right?
Yeah, right. And there's. No, go ahead, Glenn.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, but
no, you go.
I think that's why we got Bad Batch, because I think they're trying to bring it all together. And we got one more episode of Bad Batch. So what are we going to see? Are we going to see the Emperor, being cloned?
Yeah, they got to bring that back.
Bad Batch to make sense of all this crap.
You know what's surprising? We were talking about the Thrawn trilogy, though. Like, I just finished those books, and I'm like, why didn't they make that?
Amen,
that's
brother.
Episode 7, 8, 9, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it should have been.
Yeah, absolutely, no brainer, right?
Right.
You have everything that we love about Star Wars, and that's why those are the most popular books. I would imagine, like they're the most kind of Star Warsy, of the stories I've seen.
Yeah, and when you think about Star Wars itself too, like the stormtroopers were Nazis, or we were also in a time of turmoil in the U.S. because of Vietnam, so it was just like good versus evil.
The Cold War.
So you're looking at, as we were leading up to the Force Awakens, I was thinking they're going to look at modern stuff, so maybe the First Order would be terrorists and try to explain kind of what's going on today.
Yeah,
but that's obviously not the way they went. It was just kind of mind-boggling that they didn't.
Right. The only reason I think they went the way they did is because, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill are old, and they couldn't do what they wanted, what the EU did, because the EU, they were badasses.
Yeah.
And they,
but I would have been okay with a competent recasting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I mean, you can't. As much
what are
as
they going to do?
Solo,
they're going to do it with Luke. They're about to do it with Luke, in all likelihood.
As much as I love Solo, it's still not Harrison Ford.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but I think if the trade-off to me is that they make a competent show and tell a good story and utilize that character properly, my son is going to watch it and love it, and not necessarily have the same, like, well, it's not Mark Hamill, so it's not really Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good for the franchise, and I think if the story is good, I'll get over it eventually.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the James Bond method. They recast that every 4 or 5 movies, and
it works. Yeah,
it works. But I don't know if I can see anyone other than Harrison Ford as Han Solo personally.
It's different. It's definitely different. I mean, it worked to an extent with the Solo movie,
which I love, but
and I think that gets a worse rap than it deserves. But
it was a good product.
The product, it was a competent product. It had its flaws, but yeah, casting the young, it's a little dicey because like he was already young in that movie. It's not like he's an old middle-aged man like me.
Yeah. Or me.
In A New Hope, but like all of us, but
yeah. I have to agree with you. I think if they would have done some kind of recasting, we would have been like, oh crap, but eventually we would have got over it because I wanted to see Leia as a badass. I wanted to, because I read a bunch of the EU books and she was, an awesome Jedi, and Luke still was, Luke didn't go hide on an island somewhere, and Leia had to carry the lightsaber, and
You're gonna get me so mad about what they did to him.
The thing that pisses me off the most is
Your
when
skin's starting to turn green. I see it.
it's fine. We'll just go with it.
Damn it! The most beloved, iconic character
is the whole thing. Being an EU guy, and you see Han Solo confront Kylo Ren on the thing on the bridge, and then he goes, Ben, and I was like, no, that's not supposed to be his name. Ben is Luke's son. It's not Han Solo and Leia's son. He's supposed to be Jason, or Anakin, not Ben. It's not, and that's the one thing that just, as an EU guy, threw me off. And it still throws me off.
I just ran into that. Is it in the Thrawn trilogy where she has the baby, or is it like the follow-up post-Thrawn book?
I don't know when they have the babies in the EU.
I read it recently, and then they have the names are, what is it? Jason.
It's
Jana.
Jason and Jana.
Jana, yeah.
And Anakin.
And then Anakin, right. Yep. I'm like, wait a minute.
Luke and Mara Jade's kid is Ben.
So I read that book and I'm like, another thing that movie got wrong, right?
Right. I wanted to see the Thrawn trilogy. That's what I thought they were going to do, was the Thrawn trilogy when they said they were going to do the book. When released the movie.
It's so good, and it's like, I'm a really big original trilogy fan, and I'm just now coming across that. So like, I consider myself a pretty big Star Wars fan, and I'm only now learning about this thing. Like, you could have easily made that movie and people would have been like, wow, this is so fresh and exciting, because it's a great story.
Right. Instead of doing
the special effects, like the budgets, the casting they could have had for it, like, it could have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe is there a possibility they still make that trilogy, or?
I wish.
That ship has sailed. They're on to new products.
Right. I really think with Thrawn coming in on Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Rebels, they're not going to redo that.
Oh, that's right, because Thrawn is going to make an appearance on the TV shows now, right?
Right. Well,
Yep.
he was they brought him back with Rebels, which that blew my mind.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That's the book I'm reading now. The book I'm reading now is where they find the imposter, the guy who's like a Thrawn impersonator.
Oh.
Thrawn or Luke? I know Luke had a
Luke
No,
with
it's
two U's.
It's a Thrawn impersonator. Like, the Moths are gathering together.
No.
They're trying to consolidate power, and they get this scheme to get somebody to make everybody think Thrawn is back. And
Oh,
I can't think of the name of it.
I want to read it.
I know
It's actually decent. I want to say Zahn wrote it too.
I'm sure he did. He wrote a couple Thrawn books.
there was Alpha on Flight. Is that what you're reading?
No, Spectre of the Past. Timothy Zahn.
Okay.
I'll have to find that.
Spectre of the
I
Past.
have it somewhere.
Yep, it's good.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it kind of takes place post Thrawn trilogy, and I want to say Anakin is in this book as a kid.
Wow.
See Luke, the Leia and Han kid Luke, or kid Anakin. Yeah. Yep.
The interesting thing about Timothy Zahn is that he says in his mind that they're all the same story. Disney might have wiped away the canonization of everything that came after Return of the Jedi, but in his mind, the character from start to finish of Thrawn is the same character. If that makes sense.
Dude, go for it.
Yeah, because the first part was a prequel. What he's writing now is a prequel.
Right.
So then in his mind, post Return of the Jedi, he's already written that story of Thrawn.
I totally get that. Why fix something that's not broken?
Right.
Yeah. And why didn't they hire him to write the Disney trilogy? If you're not going to use the one he already wrote, he seems capable of writing a competent Star Wars 3-part saga, right? Like, hire
Right.
that guy.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
ship has
I'm
sailed.
reasonably sure Disney could afford Timothy Zahn. He doesn't have so much money that Disney can't get him, right?
Yeah, the
Right.
Disney product ship has sailed.
Yeah.
They're on to
Too
Rogue
late.
Squadron, and Taika's working on something. I think I like the first Jedi kind of prequel.
I think Taika's, I have no clue what he's working on. It's supposed to be just like his own spin on Star Wars.
We'll see. I love Thor Ragnarok, so we'll see what he does.
Yeah.
That was one of the best Marvel movies, in my opinion.
Jojo
It was
Rabbit.
so
and-
weird and awesome. Like, it was just
Yeah.
awesome. What a great movie.
What We Do
Yeah.
in the Shadows is hilarious.
I need to get into that. I just now got Hulu, so I need to dig into that.
Watch
I
the
tried
movie.
getting into that. Huh?
Watch the movie.
Okay.
The movie is just a perfect comedy. It's just hilarious.
Are we gonna have too much Star Wars soon?
That's
Well,
what happened with Solo.
Yeah, they took a break after that. So, I mean, I think that's they were trying to follow the Marvel method because Marvel comes out, they started once a year
Like clockwork, yeah.
and then they went to 2 a year and now they're getting comfortable to 3 a year. And I think Disney thought that the strength of Star Wars would lend itself to being a couple times a year, but I think it's just such a big juggernaut, such a massive piece of gravity. It just sucks up everything that people get exhausted from it. So I think the break is good. I just don't like the frequency of the Star Wars TV shows because I want a movie. As great as the Mando is, after a while you're like, why are we on this ice planet? Let's just get a Mando movie for 2 hours instead of an 8-hour series.
Mhm.
If we suppose that Disney has not done a bang up job with the movies, do you think if they nailed it, like if they nailed that trilogy and stuff was good, like is a fire hose of awesome still too much fire hose?
No.
Like, would we be running the risk of getting Star Wars out? Because like I can't even keep track of how many shows they've announced or canceled, and then like
Yeah.
there's a lot coming. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah, I think it's open for debate. I don't know what the right answer is. I think if you keep hitting home runs and the people love it, then you're going to keep giving it to them. But
Yeah.
if you're just hitting grounders to first and you're getting out, then people are going to get sick of it and say the quality of Star Wars is not what it used to be.
Right. And going back to Bad Batch, they keep giving us Bad Batches. I think it'll burn everybody out. People will get tired of it.
Yeah,
I'm more optimistic about live action though. I think they hit something with The Mandalorian and just TV in general. Like, I mean, TV in general, I thought was good when I was a kid, and it was awful compared to TV now. Like, long form storytelling in TV is just amazing. Like, think of how awesome the shows are that have come out that, take you through these story arcs and have really satisfying conclusions and great characters, and week to week, like you can't wait to see the next thing coming. Like, that was Mandalorian for me. If, movie might be one and done, but if they kept feeding me Mandalorian quality TV shows,
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Right.
Yeah, I think if they're doing what they're doing right now, where the show is the length that they need to tell it, like I compare it to the Netflix Marvel shows where each one was 12 episodes and 5 or 6 of those were filler.
Yeah.
And so it seems like Disney Plus is like, no, Loki just needs to be 6 episodes. That's all the story we need to tell. We don't need to slam in 6 more to fill it in.
Yeah.
So I think they're going down the right path.
I think so. I think though, I would suspect those are a lot cheaper to produce for them too. Like, making 6 episodes of Loki is way cheaper than making a Loki movie, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. I would think so.
I'm not the CFO, but I think so.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
So what are you on to? You've kind of finished your early bird kind of run there. What are you on to next? What are you searching for? What's on the plate?
Yeah. I was kind of not doing any mock collecting, but I'm dabbling in that. And I'm really going after like mint as possible, but open ships and play sets.
Okay.
So anytime I can see a pretty good looking box, I'll snap those up and see if I can piece together, kind of a better example. but that's probably it. I'm getting a little bummed out because like I've kind of collected most of the Star Wars I want to collect, and
Oh,
I don't want to I don't want to create things to collect for the sake of doing it, but I'm beginning to tread into that kind of territory. But most of my collection's pretty simple. It's like run of the mill, stuff you would have picked up at Caldor or Target or Zayre's or, whatever your, local department store,
I remember
place was.
Ames when I was
Yeah.
up in New York.
Ames. I had Ames. Yep.
Yep.
I actually went to college with the daughter of the CEO of Ames.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They used to recruit there. They had like, you go in and do like the rotational programs. They hire kids like at Enterprise and those kind of things. Yep.
What college? Just out of curiosity.
I went to Boston College
Oh.
in Chestnut Hill.
Yep. It's an
Go
enemy of
Eagles.
Syracuse University. So
Oh, okay.
I didn't go there, but I grew up in Syracuse, so I bleed orange and blue.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I don't like Boston College.
The snowiest airport in the country, I think, is Syracuse.
Snowiest city in the country, yes.
Yeah, it usually is, right?
Yep. So what's I know we got to wrap up soon, but I'm curious, what's the most difficult play set to find right now to get in good condition?
Boy, well, I can tell you what I don't have. I don't have a really good Slave 1 in a box. So anybody listening to the show that wants to PM me, I am looking for one of those. And yeah, tough to get. I mean, I have a really nice skiff from the Power of the Force line, but one side of the box is kind of crushed in. Everything else on this box is awesome, and it's weird that this one corner is the one side piece is so weirdly damaged. So I'm trying to upgrade that. And I do need a white Imperial TIE fighter. White Imperial TIE. I think like with all the stuff, like the early bird stuff, the older it gets, the harder it is to find it in really good condition. I think there was like a eBay auction for an AFA 85 TIE that was like $6,000 or something crazy. It's a lot of money for a TIE fighter.
But it's your passion, so you follow your passion.
Yeah, collecting as a whole is just skyrocketed. It's just.
I
feel your.
I thought when I got into it, I was like, oh, during the pandemic, like great time to start collecting. Like,
no,
a lot of people are out of work and they're, going to be nervous and they're going to be selling stuff like this. And it was exactly the opposite. It was everybody was home, everybody had extra money, they had time. And yeah, I kind of got in at the absolute worst possible
time ever.
About a year ago. Yeah. Right as it was in a full upswing. So
yeah, it was the pandemic was a really weird time because you had people that were trying to, were at home and going through their stuff and saying, I got extras of this, or I don't need this, or, rearranging their collection. So you had some really cool crap come up, but then again, prices went through the roof because everybody had that extra money that they were sitting on.
You know what? It was cheaper than the therapy I would have needed from being trapped at home all year in the pandemic and my 3 kids homeschooling, and I'd had surgery earlier. So like I needed an outlet, and it happened to be Star Wars collecting. So
yeah,
it's not a bad hobby.
And in the grand scheme of things, that's what my wife points out when her friends all make fun of me and my hobby.
Tell them it was either heroin or Star Wars. So you took
it could be drinking and hookers, and there's worse vices. So
yes.
Well,
at the end of the day, there's something of value. So
right. How's your wife take it? I've met her, and she was at IC, and for the first, she kind of felt overwhelmed, but I think she got used to it. So how's she accepting it?
Yeah, she's the exact opposite of me in every way. She's not in the least bit a nerd. So she went along like a good sport, and the last day of the convention, she's like, all right, get me a ticket. I'm going to go in and check this thing out. And she was blown away. She loved it. Everybody she met, she had a good time with. She got really into the droids. She bought a droid from the Droid Builders Club, like a 3D printed one, and it's sitting on my shelf, and she wants to.
That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see now. Yeah.
She wants to build an actual R2 with the kids, like a winter project, like do the programming and like the whole deal. So
That's great.
Whether that comes to fruition, I don't know. But yeah, she embraced it, and she's very tolerant of of my collecting and toy buying. I bought an early bird. I think I might have told you guys the story on the ride back from ICC with my SUV like filled with toys. Like it was embarrassing. And we drove together, and we were driving back from Tennessee to Massachusetts, and on one of the sites somebody put up this like awesome early bird, and we had just switched like driving duty, so I'm in the passenger seat, and I couldn't buy it fast enough, and I'm telling her what I'm doing, and she was actually rooting for me, which was a very surreal moment because I'm like in a car full of toys, and she was
That's
cheering
awesome.
me on. So it was like, you're a good egg.
Yes. Keep her. Don't screw this up, David.
Yeah. I had no idea I married a tolerant toy collector wife, but apparently I did. So
Yeah, don't screw that up.
no.
Awesome, David. Thanks for joining us, man. I
Yeah,
know you-
thanks for having me. I
Thanks
love
for joining
talking
us.
It's been,
Thanks
a,
for
it's been
listening.
a good. Go ahead, David. Jason.
No, I was just
What were you
saying
saying?
thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, you've been a loyal supporter, man, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
I
Thanks,
feel like I
guys.
need to do the friends clap now. See, I'll be there. I'll be there for you.
That's a nice way to wrap up your show. You probably can't do that without paying a royalty, though, right?
Probably not. So I'll have to like skip a beat or something, but I don't think people will even care.
No.
Yeah, I did such a
All
horrible
right.
job singing that. Just now, they don't want the money.
Right.
They just keep it.
Stop!
They don't want to be affiliated in any way.
No, they just spend it on singing lessons. Just stay away from us. Don't bring
Donate
that
it.
up.
Awesome, David. Thank you for joining
Cool.
us. You can, man, find us on Smugglers Galaxy on Facebook, Instagram, email us smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Everybody, y'all have a good rest of your day. This is the way.
Party on, dudes.
So I actually had a dream that I misspoke while recording the show, and can't remember the length I gave, but I think the answer to the question everybody was looking for is the inner length of the filament part of the saber, which is 35 millimeters, if it's correct. Usually when they're shorter, you can see some evidence of chewing or clip mark at the end. It won't be, kind of as uniform, but if you're looking for one and you want to check, 35 millimeters is the correct full length.